Hello all and welcome back to the Walrus Plays some more Settlers 2 Gold Edition. We are now on Mission 7, The Snake. Now we are going to be encountering against two Viking players. Now they are currently allied to us, unlike with the previous mission where they were hostile. Now this does give us a great advantage. This means we can utilise catapults and try and whittle them down a little bit before we truthfully get engaged with them. And that's going to be the biggest component here. We don't want to throw ourselves in like a mad person and get ourselves completely ruined. Now, as you can see, I'm currently setting up some, well, what I would consider a basic infrastructure. So at least 2 woodcutters. I'm holding off a forester right now because we've got plenty of trees for the moment. I've got a couple of barracks, I've got a fishery, I'm going to build a quarry, and we're building a sawmill. Now with all of this should give us a decent stance and landing point to actually get started with this mission. I don't honestly remember how close they actually are to us, so that is going to be a component that we do need to be aware of, because if they are very, very close to us, this could be tricky. But we will soon see. That's going to be the biggest thing, is we will soon see. But, as I mentioned, we're going to be trying to drive through the very annoying Vikings, and I do believe that it is the gateway is upon the the left-hand side of the map. So we're looking on the western side. I forgot. I got left and right muddled up there, and the east and west muddled up there. Don't ask me to give directions. It's the short answer to that one. Anyway, right. So, as I was kind of saying, we need to set ourselves up nicely. So you can see here we've got quarries, we've got barracks, we've got woodcutters, we've got an iron smelter as well. From what I remember, the mission that we're currently encountering, there are a couple of maybe not terrible things to deal with. That is, we have a lack of gold. Gold is going to be tricky for us. So, this is why I'm going to throw out some barracks nice and quickly and kind of hope for the best on this one. Because again, I want to be careful, but I do want to make sure that I can expand quickly and ensure that we are ready to fight. And that's going to be the biggest point, is we need to be ready to fight these damn Vikings. Because once they get going, ooh, it'll all end very poorly for us, methinks. But we will do okay, I hope. Now, once we've established our first sawmill, I'm going to want to build a second. Because I very much am keen on having multiple. I feel that's quite a sensible thing to want, to have multiple sets of sawmills. And it seems to work out nicely for me, setting up like 3 or 4 of them quite quickly. But of course the trade-off is we can run out of tools, because of course we can run out of the saws. And this could be a little bit of a tricky conundrum. Obviously, we don't want to run out of saws, because otherwise then we're a little bit stuffed. But in the same regard, we also don't want to over-rely on a metal worker, because then we'll run out of other resources that we do need, which is, of course, the iron. Now, iron could be in short supply on this level. I don't know off the top of my head. We are going to give it a good try, though, and make sure that we can blitz through this properly without too much issue. So that's going to be the big thing, is we need to make sure that we don't struggle too much when it comes to the numbers of things that we're going to encounter here. And the Vikings themselves, I believe they are significantly better militarily prepared than we are, because of course they've got access to gold, we don't. And that's going to be a big thing for us to be aware of. We don't have access to the really big resources that we need, so we do have to be aware of that fact. And again, we will be careful, because that's kind of a given. Now, we do have some gold, but we don't want to spend it all very, very quickly. We need to try and keep the gold in, well, maybe not short supply, but we do want to keep it held back, is the nicest way of putting it. Because we don't want to end up spanking loads of money and essentially shooting ourselves in the foot, because that is going to be a real shame if that was to occur, because if we run out of gold, well, we're going to actually be a little bit stuffed. So, let's see what we can obtain here. It's the big thing we need, really, isn't it? Right. Now, we've got a couple of fisheries going. Now, this is quite early on, important to me at least, because I feel that it is very useful to have a decent number of fisheries going early on. Same with hunters if you do have the opportunity of getting them, because, I mean, you typically start with a hunter anyway, so it is quite important. Not really important, but it is useful to have a couple of them, maybe one, just so you can end up early game creating stocks of food that you're going to need. And that's kind of a given, right? I would suggest. We do need that. How well that will work? That's a bit of a different question, unfortunately. But we are going to give it a good try. Now, let's have a quick look and see if there's anything else that we can reasonably feasibly squeeze in here. One of the big things that I'm not really concerned about is, obviously, because the Vikings themselves are looking to be on the passive side currently, we do need to be careful, of course, because if we anger them and attack them, both of them will gang up on us. So I don't really know where all of this will lay out, but we will soon see. Now, expanding quickly down here, we're using barracks as our primary expansion source because, again, they are quick and rapid to build. They only cost 2 wood, so they're very cheap, and that's going to be the big component that we have here. Because they're cheap, they can be rapidly constructed. Yes, of course, they are going to get our units out on the field, but again, we do have to be careful that we don't end up sending our elite troops out to garrison the barracks that are close to the capital. Because, again, we don't need them to be here. It'll be the military buildings that will need to be garrisoned with more elite troops the closer to the enemy we actually get. So, let's see how well this goes, shall we? Now, we've got one farm. I would like to build a few more, because what I want to do is I want to build a donkey breeder, because whilst, yes, I would suggest that it may seem a little counterintuitive as one of the first buildings to try to benefit from a farm, but the donkey breeder does have one big advantage. And the big advantage the donkey breeder provides is the additional ability of transport. We can already see one road being given that tarmac appearance of a more heavily travelled road. And that's really important to get on that really quickly, because we need to be ready for our landing here, because once we've prepared ourselves in this area, we should, fingers crossed, be able to run this more effectively, and that's kind of what we're going for here. I need to be careful, however, so I'm still sending out the scouts just to identify what is around and about. We're going to want, again, though, to get more units out and about. I feel that's quite sensible, really, like, duh. Of course we want to have them. The question comes, however, now we've got 4 woodcutters, we've got 2 sawmills. We are going to need some foresters soon, because woodcutters are very efficient. They actually get on with the task at hand and actually do very well, which is important. But of course, it can be a little bit of a trade-off when it comes to how well they really do churn through the resources that are available for us. Now, again, it's not the end of the world, but it is something that we do have to be aware of. So, keep it going. Other things I'm kind of thinking about at the moment as well is trying to figure out what other things can I bring in here to actually make this a bit more effective. Now, as you saw, I had a quick look at the numbers of workers that we have available to us, because again, that's an important thing to actually have a look at, and being aware of what tools you may need to make. Now, I know we aren't quite as poorly set in the sense of the way that we were previously with our slight issues when we first got metalworking, because of course we didn't have many tools really, which is fine, it's fine. But we do have to be careful. Now, there's a mountain range here. I'm hoping that that carries a large quantity of iron, but we also want a lot of coal. And the trouble is, it's very easy to blitz through with your iron and actually run out of all of your useful resources. Because if you run through all of your iron, you get your iron on the go, you can end up running out of coal, and that will suck when it comes to going, ooh, I actually quite need to get gold. Because, of course, without the gold coins, we struggle militarily. And that's gonna suck. But, again, we will see. Now, I've got 2 more woodcutters on the go there, so we've got 6 woodcutters. So these guys should probably provide us a decent amount of ability to get the scaffolding down. We'll be able to get things out and about. Now, I'm going to build a barracks down here and a quarry. Can I loop this round? Damn, no I can't. Okay, right, so that's okay. So we do have some ability to get through here. Yeah, okay, it's not perfect, but it's something, and that's the important thing really right now, is that we aren't completely screwed up with this one. It's going to be an interesting one. Either way, it's definitely going to be an interesting one. Now, what we are also going to have to look at is how well can we actually work through this. Because one of my considerations is obviously, as you can see, I'm building as much wooden construction as possible because of how quick and cheap it is. And that's a big thing, because of course the cheaper and easier it is to get things out and about, the easier it'll be for me in the long run. So, such as getting the barracks is on the go, we've got the forester built. It's just I need to get them out and about and getting ready. However, the big problem that we essentially have is that we do have to be aware that wooden buildings are, so the barracks, of course, I'm really looking at a military sense. They're good for rapid, but they don't give you as much territory as a guardhouse. They definitely don't give you as much territory as anything larger than a guardhouse, so watchtower and fortress. But we are going to have to be aware of what's going to come in and how we're going to have to deal with it. Because we don't know where the 2 forces actually are at this point. Now, we're stuck in a corner. I'm assuming one's going to be to the left of us and one's to the right. But if memory serves, from this particular mission, it is the Reds who hold the gate. So the Reds are going to be the first people that we want to go and deal with properly. And that shouldn't be too difficult, in fairness. Because, of course, again, as I've mentioned before, we can utilise our catapults and whittle them down, and that's going to be the biggest thing for us here, is we can whittle them down, chip at them away, and just keep them at arm's length. That's really all that we can do at this point. But it will work, hopefully. Very much hopefully. But we'll see. So, now. So I'm building a guardhouse because I want to get nearer the mountains very quickly. I feel that that's quite important for me. Is the closer I can get to the mountains, the better it'll be. And I feel that's quite a normal, reasonable thought process there. Because the closer you can get to the mountains, the better it'll be, generally speaking. Because with the mountains conquered, per se, and in my territory, we can, of course, get more out of them. And of course, sometimes the mountains themselves are a bit larger, which means that when they're quite large and overreaching, it means that unless you do build a larger military building nearby, you're not going to be able to actually claim as much land out of them. And that's an important component to be aware of. Now, of course, we've got the military building occupied again, so we've got more stone to the south, and we've got a little bit more land that we can end up with flat land. So I'm going to build another guardhouse here, connected to the barracks. Loads of just random flag points. So as the quarry works, we'll be able to build a second quarry without issue. That's going to be an important component for us here. So, let's see. I mean, again, it's going to be a tricky component, but it is hopefully not as bad as the mission where we played against the Japanese for the first mission, where that was an absolute horror show. In all fairness, it was a nightmare. Because that was just absolutely atrocious with all of the nonsense that was going on with that one. We had so many problems with how slow it was because we had to use that huge wall of stone to actually provide us the ability to just essentially carve through the Japanese forces. So it was very much of a, I really wish this hadn't been quite as annoying as it was, but there's not much we can do about it, is there? C'est la vie. However, we are hopefully going to be able to do a little bit better on this. Now, you can see we've got a little bit of a bottleneck. We've got lots and lots of lumber coming back, so we are going to need another sawmill by the looks of things, because unfortunately, when you have a bottleneck, I don't actually remember how many items a flag can hold. I think it's either 8 or 10. But, of course, when a flag is full, then you end up being in a point where you can end up actually stuffed, because stuff isn't moving around as much as you actually need it to, which very much sucks. So you do have to be very, very careful with that. It's not impossible to deal with, but it is very frustrating when it doesn't quite work as well as you'd hoped. So, let's see. So I'm going to send out some geologists this way. It's going to be a little bit cack-handed, but that's fine. Now, once the geologists explore the mountain, then we can at least find out what's actually available to us, and yeah, what else can we actually do here? Because that's important. Now, let's have a think. What other things would be sensible for us right now? I mean, again, I know it's a bit of a daft thing to kind of go, "Ooh, what do I think is a good idea?" But when you actually look at it, on the face of it, we do have to expand quickly. And that's a major component of this, is we do have to be able to expand very, very rapidly. Without that rapid expansion, we're going to be a little bit stuck. And that is a big thing. But, the big but to Biscuit base here. If we can expand quickly enough to the mountains and find iron, that's great. Of course, we want to find iron. We also want to find the other resources. So, we really want to find coal. We really want to find gold. But usually, as we've seen with all the previous campaign missions, a lot of it is that we just don't have that ability to really get it going, do we? Which is fine. It's fine. But we don't really have as much ability to claim gold. Because, of course, why would we have an easy ride of it? Our enemies will typically control the gold, and as well as that, they'll also just generally control a lot of the important mountainous regions. So that is a thing that we do have to be aware of and take into account. But, again, we should be able to press through. Especially now that we can utilize catapults rather than actually having to wait and whittle through. That's what I'm kind of hoping we can actually get a decent amount of work going for us here. So we'll see. We will see. Now, what's going to be the next big ticket thing? Well, we've got some more trees here, so I'm going to try and cut them down. Now, I don't know quite why I built both these farms so close together, but once the construction started, it's my own stupid fault. I may reroute the road to the right-hand side of that farm, the right-hand farm that is, because it might help a little bit. Either way, it wasn't the best way of actually planting things, I'm not going to lie. But it's okay. We'll be alright. I think. Stress on the think. Very much think. So, let's give it a go, shall we? Now, with all these farms, we should be able to do a little bit better here, I think. And that's going to be an important component, is with all the farms, because it is very important to have 3 or 4 farms quite early on. Because without the farms, you can't generate more soldiers, you can't make bread, you can't do a lot. Which is, I think, the worst part of it is, without the farms, there's very little that you can actually do. And that sucks. So, fingers crossed, we should be okay with those farms there. Hopefully they don't entirely overlap into one another too badly. Again, hopefully, but again, we will see. Now, I'm just going to have to see what other things that we might be able to do here. Okay, so we've still not found any of our enemies yet, but I am still building the guardhouses just to be erring on the side of caution slightly here, because I want to be able to make sure I have some resources coming in my way, and that we know where the enemy is, because that's going to be a big component of all this, really. Got to be very careful to knowing where the enemy is. But, again, all the same, we've got a bit that we can deal with, so we should be okay. Should being the operative word. I hate it when I have to say that. This is it might work. Might work out alright, who knows? So we're building an iron mine. Hopefully we can get a little bit more useful kind of rolling here. Again, we'll see. Right, so one of the big things that I am concerned about, in fairness, is how militarily superior both of our enemies will be. Now, because we can check this, it's not like it's impossible to have a quick look. Now, we have that ability. As dumb as that sounds, we do have that capability within our midst. But at the same time, we do need to be aware of what is going to be available to us. Oh. Let's see. So we've got some coal, so it does look like we can actually get... we've already got an iron smelter, which is important, of course. But with that, we can actually end up getting something maybe a bit better. So we can get a second. I say a bit better. We can end up with a second, we can end up with a third, who knows. But in fairness, the iron smelters are very important. Duh. But it is one of the big components that I would suggest that one needs to be aware of is knowing what else you can throw out and about when it comes to what buildings you can actually do, what buildings you can actually utilise, as we do have a couple of problems, potentially here. Maybe not truthfully problems, but one of the considerations we must make here is being aware of how much space our farms take up. And this is something that I'm a little prone to making a slight mischief of, I think is the best way of putting it. There have been a number of times where I've just completely screwed up on what actually I can do and where I can put things. And it's very important to be aware of, unfortunately, because without that knowledge of where your farms are actually going to take up space, you can end up overextending your farms quite badly. And actually meaning that they don't produce because they are, unfortunately, placed poorly. And that is a genuine concern. But, in the same regard, we should be okay. Because I'm not throwing them out everywhere willy-nilly. It's not going quite as insane as that. But it is still, you know, a thing you have to be aware of. So, let's us have a look and see, shall we? Now, once this guardhouse is built, I'm curious to see what military buildings we can actually end up with that area, because I've got a horrible feeling that this mountain range is actually quite close to one of our enemies. You know, like a wild stab in the dark and say, yeah. Ooh, now that ring there, there's a couple of bits of stone and a couple of trees. Now, I want to remove the trees. I want to remove the... definitely need to remove the stone, but once we've done that, we should, stress on the should here, be in a decent place to expand very, very rapidly. And once that rapid expansion occurs, I'm thinking we might even be able to build a watchtower there. That would be really nice. A good watchtower would make things a lot easier as we expand over here. But again, we will see, because that's the big problem, is how well we can actually do it. We will, of course, see soon enough. Now, as I kind of mentioned, one of the things that I've got to be aware of, and again, considering generally, is how... lo and behold, there's the Reds. We've got a fortress. I'm going to build a quarry here first, and I'm going to replace it with a woodcutter afterwards. Oh dear, so the Reds are right there. That's annoying, so we're going to have to be aware of that and deal with that quickly. Great, just what I didn't need. But the Reds are going to be the focus enemy for us in this run-through, because as far as I'm aware, the Reds are the ones who actually control the gateway. And once we take the gateway from them, wonderful. We're in a much, much better place. So fingers crossed, we should be in a good place with this. We will see. We will very much see. Now, it is a tricky one though. Because of course we need to make sure that we actually come through this area and try and hold them back. What my plan is, my general intentions is to push through, I think understandably, and make sure that we can build as many catapults as physically possible adjacent to their territory. Once we do this, again, we'll be in a much better place, because once we allow ourselves that better position, we'll be able to just thoroughly mess them up. I think that's the best way of putting it, really, isn't it? Now, the question we have, of course, is... oh, gold. Lovely. Definitely having that. Yes, please. As I kind of inferred, we don't know their military capability. And that's the big problem here. Of course, as we don't know what their capability is, we could end up being shot in the foot, unfortunately. And that's not great. So, we're going to try and drive through our foes. And as we do so, we should, using the catapults, be able to drive through them. That's going to be the biggest component, is actually dealing with all the catapult components. So, hopefully, we can catapult our enemies dead. Because unless we do, we might be in a bit of trouble. And I think that's the politest way of putting it. Because with that, if we just launch an attack straight away, willy-nilly, we're going to end up losing horribly. Because the AI is already given an advantage. Because of course they have to be. Because this game is an early, what, 90s? I say early 90s. We're talking late 90s. It's not exactly... The AI doesn't exactly have the most sensible of AI functionality. It's not... I mean, to be fair, I was only recently pleasantly surprised by the AI within games, such as the wonders that is Age of Empires. Because Age of Empires 2 has constantly tried to evolve with its abilities, which is great, and I love it. And that makes you really happy, seeing how good Age of Empires 2's understanding is of AI. Well, like, what I say, it's not really AI, is it? It's the abilities that they have really within them. The computer doesn't really have a huge amount of capability. It's probably the nicest way of putting it a lot of the time. But with the higher difficulties, it has definitely become significantly better. And that surprised me. Genuinely. It genuinely surprised me. So, what we're going to do is we are going to have a think about how we're going to work through this. The big question really comes, unfortunately, is how are we going to deal with the enemy as soon as we find them? And again, I know that's a bit of a exaggerated, over the top, what are we going to do? But it is a consideration, because we do have that as a problem. Because, of course, as our the AI, once they sort of, as I mentioned, they're not the most intelligent of critters out there. We do need to be careful of what they can actually do to us and how badly they can annoy us. Because, yeah, they definitely can. So, let's see. At least we know where the reds are, and I think we can see the yellows on the map as well, so we know where they both are. We've got loads of coal, we've got loads of iron here, so we're going to really build loads of iron, loads of coal mines, and just get cracking with this. Because what we need is to be aware of where everything is, and how easily we can actually, you know, equate it into something useful. So it is something to be aware of. We do need to be very aware of, unfortunately. So, that fortress being built, it's going to be a good expansion point. I don't think we're going to be launching any attacks from it just yet. We might do, but again, it's going to be what the Reds are going to actually have available before we actually launch any attacks. Because I'm not going to throw myself in willy-nilly without any understanding of what's actually, you know, there. And that's a big problem, is we've got to make sure that our forces are able to handle what's going to be thrown at us. And that is going to be a big consideration, is can we actually handle what we're fighting? So, we've got to be careful with that. So, let's have a quick look and see. Still need some more stone there, so that once that's worked through, we're in a better place, which is, again, important. But again, we are doing what we can. So, the other big consideration I've got right now is how well can we get more. Well, we're going to need some armories. That's going to be a given. So you can see I'm managing and juggling a lot of mining picks because we don't have enough of them. We're going to need loads more. It's a given, really, as I would kind of assume that you'd sort of get with that. It's very important for us to actually have all of that. So, let's see. Now, once we sort out what we need, which of course is the big military buildings, so that we can actually go and stomp on them as soon as we get the chance. Because, duh, we need to be able to really break through as best as possible, unfortunately. And that's a big thing with this kind of thought process that I've got here. Because once we've broken through, okay, so we've got no more stone there, now I'm going to build the woodcutter here. Now, once this populates, that should give us a decent amount of the mountain actually that we can actually use. And that's a big thing. Once we've got that all kind of, sorted, we're in a very good place. And that's going to be the big thing here, is once we've kind of sorted that, again, we're in a much better place. Now, do I build another fortress here? Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably a good idea, considering how close we are to the yellows. So let's build these through. Now, unfortunately, these marshes are somewhere you can't actually decently stretch across. And that has a problem with it. And the big associated issue is, unfortunately, when you have these marshes, like we have on the left here, we can't build on them. And whilst, yes, I can build rowboats, I can't build roads networks. So maybe I could have a decent linkage, but I doubt it. And that's what I'm concerned about. If I'm brutally honest, I'm concerned about actually being able to reach across and actively stretch out to the northern side of the map. Because we need to. We definitely need to. But again, we'll have to see how all this goes. I think in fairness, what I'm really concerned about is both of them being able to gang up on me. So really, again, it's just going to be relying on catapults to do as much damage as physically possible in this sort of venture here. Which, again, seems reasonable because, well, we're going to need it. We're going to need catapults to do as much damage as possible. Duh. Catapults are a fantastic way of just whittling down our foe. And really, they're going to be the best way of doing it. I think that's going to be... Not saying it's annoying to actually have to think about the fact that that is how we're going to have to do it, but it is going to have to be how we actually manage what's going to present itself in this mission. Now, of course, we've now found both of their enemies, and with that, we do have to be careful, because we don't want to overextend ourselves, and that's a big thing that is definitely possible. Because if I was to, let's say, hypothetically launch an attack, if I was to do so, we would end up shooting ourselves very thoroughly in the foot. Because with an attack, we would end up being, unfortunately, attacked very quickly by both of them. Yeah, kind of a given, right? And if that occurs, then, well, it's all kinds of bad. We don't want that. So we do have to be careful. So, it's a wonderful joy, actually, trying to think of how we're actually going to manage this. But again, it is... Well, it's just how it goes, isn't it, really? If I'm brutally honest, it's just... This is the way of the world. We've got to be aware of where our opponents are, how we're going to achieve it. Now, this is a big thing, is because we don't have much gold, as you can see, the gold deposits we've got are very poor quality. I do want to build a mint, I do want to start making coins, but I don't want to over-rely on it, because right now, weirdly, in fairness, I actually really need just more weapons, because the more soldiers I can throw out, the better it'll be for me in the long run, I think. Stress on the I think button there, because I'm pretty sure the more I can actually throw out there, the better it'll be. But again, we will see. Very much we will indeed see. So, let's build some more. I mean, we've got the smelters, we've got the armory, and again, it's kind of important, I think, for the purely sense on the logistics. This is a big thing that I personally did when I was a kid. I really wasn't very good at logistics. I sent things back and forth because I thought everything should be near the main headquarters hub. I didn't build storehouses very much. I didn't build secondary ware. I just built one of each building. I thought, yeah, that'd be fine. No. It's very important to have multiples of each building that allow you to actually get going and stuck in there. And that's a big thing that we've currently got as an issue, is that we need to be... I'm going to build these guardhouses, and that's going to allow us to step in. Now, you can see that the Reds... I don't think they've got a really big lack of troops. But they do seem to have... they may have just done a redistribution. So now it would have been great to attack if I had the military capability. But of course, I don't. And unfortunately, that's the big problem. Is I just don't have that capability. But again, we will hopefully be able to sort that out. Now, Now, building one storehouse, I'm going to probably need another couple. That's, I feel, kind of reasonable and a bit of a given. So yeah, we'll give it a go. And we'll give it a try. I think that's really the big thing we can say, is what we can do is we'll give it a go. How effective this will be is a very bloody different question, I'm afraid. So let's... I think another farm is a good idea. Again, it's important to have multiple farms because considering you have 4 buildings that are reliant upon them, the pig farm, the donkey breeder, the brewery, and the mill. The mill seems to process the fastest of all of them, which I guess is, you know, kind of handy, I guess. But it is something to be aware of. That also, I think the mill also has a higher priority in the grand scheme of things. So it's typically associated as the one that really needs to be given all of the resources. Whether that is the case, different question. But it is a good one to get started with, I would personally suggest. So, let's give this a go, shall we? So what I've got to be aware of is that I'm trying to build a fortress here, but I fear that the enemy is going to try and seize some territory before I can do anything about it. And that's not great, unfortunately. Kind of a given that they're going to try and seize territory, because, duh, they want the territory as well as I do. But, got to be aware of this. Now, as we expand south, a guardhouse is possibly a better idea. But I wouldn't say that it... I'm not sure if that's... It's not a guardhouse. I don't know what it is, though. Is that a well, or is that... It's probably a quarry. It's when you it's remembering the specifics of what each of the faction buildings actually look like. That's a big conundrum here. But again, we'll be able to have a look. So... one of the things that I also do need to be aware of is how well can we really extract everything from this mine, from this mountain. Because one of the big problems we've got is, yes, we happen to have like a half decent amount of resources available to us in this mountain, but we don't have a food infrastructure. We don't have the pickaxes to actually make it viable. So that's a thing that we do need to be aware of. So fingers crossed with this, we should hopefully be able to get this all to work in our favour, hopefully. It's very much hopefully on this one, unfortunately. But again, it's what needs to happen. So I'm just going to prepare to release the more elite troops from the headquarters, as we are very much on their territory now. And as much as I don't really want to be adjacent to the enemy, but it's a thing. We've got to be careful of that, unfortunately. So... one of the other things that we do need to be aware of as well, we need to get more hammers, because I actually need to potentially get more builders, and also, in fairness, actually having a bit more in the way of general allocation that we can put in for hammers, because again, we can make more geologists with that, but I don't really want to make geologists with it, because yeah, they're great and all, but it's not, in one's own humble opinion, it's not the best plan to just go, let's do 1 million geologists, because that's typically a bad idea. In one's own humble opinion, because I don't really know how well that would work. So, now I'd love to be able to build a catapult that was closer to their territory, so I think I'm going to have to try from the southern side now. So let's give it a go, shall we? Question is, what else can we do while we're down here? So, we're going to head over to this area, because we've already started to make a mess of them with our expansion. So it was a quarry, thought it would be the case. I think I'll build a fishery in this sort of area. So it doesn't look like they've got anything overtly military in this immediate vicinity, which is very important, very, very useful. However, we do need to be careful with how well we over-exaggerate, well, not over-exaggerate, overextend ourselves. Now the fact that we are going to be facing off against two different entities. So, how well can we get this to work? I don't know. Right. Okay, so we're going to build a guardhouse so we can expand further south this way. But I do need to start building more catapults, and I think I'm going to have to start building maybe one at a time. Will be alright against guardhouses, but we'll need more. We'll definitely need more against things like watchtowers, because a single one won't do it against a watchtower. It just isn't good enough, unfortunately. They're all well and good, but they're just not good enough, unfortunately. So, let's us have a look and see then, shall we? Getting up to coal, again, very important, very, very useful. Because, of course, I need the coal for making coins as well. And again, that's just a big thing that we're going to have to really be aware of, is we need more of that as well. Thanks. So, the question we've now got is, when we expand into these mountains, how easily can we then kind of push in to our well, yeah, essentially we are pushing into hostile territory at this point now. We're not really in friendly lands. We're very much outside of that now. We are in very much the... They don't want us to be here. In fairness, I don't really want to be here myself, as I'm sure Octavius doesn't really want to be on this island. Weird, hopping nonsense. I think he'd much rather be back in Rome. Which I think is quite reasonable, in fairness. Because imagine you're sailing on a boat and then you suddenly get shunted to a random island full of, like, weird Vikings and Japanese and Zulus who just want to kick your teeth in. It's not great. It's definitely not great. But anyway. Okay, so the fortress is nearly finished. I think it'll probably be finished quite shortly. No more coins for you. As it gets expanded in, we will take a lot, well, hopefully a lot of territory from our foes here. And as we take more territory from them, the better. Because, of course, I want to take all the territory I can from them, because they don't deserve it. Hardy ha ha. So... big buttery biscuit based questions here. Now we've got lots of land again, now that we've opened up more territory. Question is, do we start opening up our opportunities here and essentially trying for the best with this? As dumb as this will sound, do we just build more farms? Because farms are just, I mean, they're great. Why would I not want more farms? They'll definitely help as we kind of push through here. The question again is, how effective is that gonna be? So, we will find out shortly as we valiantly push forward. Now, that military building, so it looks like they're building... what is that they're building there? Near the pig farm, next to the quarry. It doesn't matter, it's going to get destroyed. But it's still a... what is that? And why is it there? Because hopefully, it can go away. I think that's really the bluntest way of putting it. It needs to go away, whatever it is. So, again, we do have to be aware of what on earth our enemies will do. Now, they're not going to launch the attack. I think that's at least one thing we can say, is they're not going to launch the attack themselves. But unfortunately, I don't trust them not to try and give us some mischief shenanigans, unfortunately, which is the worst part. So, we've taken over a little bit more territory, and I'm going to start building catapults when the flames die down. But for now, I'm going to build a lookout tower, because we've got wood to spare. We should be fine for this. Just so we can see what is actually in this sort of general vicinity. So let's find out. So, I mean, this fortress is pretty damn elite, I'll say that much. But if we can push through into the red territory so that we don't need their nonsense, that's the better thing, really, isn't it? So, question is, and the big question, really, unfortunately, is what else can we do other than catapults? Not much. Because the catapult is really the most reliable form of, maybe not damage control, but it is the most reliable way of dealing with our foes in this sort of instance. So, let's see what we can actually do, shall we? What I would also say is we do need to be capable of dealing with any potential counterattacks. And the big problem we've got with the potential counterattacks is that if I have lots of smaller buildings, and this is a general thing for this bit, just in general with the settlers, they will typically try to attack the they will just try and essentially mess with us, because they will just launch very aggressive attacks, and that's not great for us. Okay, So, doing my best here. And again, doing what one can. Okay, so again, clearing lots of space here. So the donkey breed is useful, but you can see I don't have a huge abundance of the what's it called? Of swords and shields. Because without swords and shields, yeah, we're kind of a bit buggered. Because we can't train more troops, so we need more of those. Thanks, please. Now, let's see how well we can push through this. Now, slowly but surely, I want to build a quarry down here because I want to try and just get as much stone as possible to stand into my warehouses so that we can catapult our enemies as, well, as best as we can. Because, of course, without the catapults, well, we're a bit stuffed. So, again, it's very important for us to actually be able to do that. So, let's see how well this works, shall we? Now, we're occupying these guardhouses so that we can expand into their territory. Again, that's going to be an easy bit in the sense of we're going to expand into their territory, but how effective it is going to be is a different question. Now, you notice I've got an observation window on my metalworks. From my experience as well, it's a good idea to just keep an eye on what they're actually producing. So especially if you have a limited selection of things that you actually want them to produce, it does help when you go, okay, I only want this much, blah, blah, blah. So you can then kind of whittle down and limit what's going on there, which is, you know, it's important. So... let's have a quick look and see, shall we? Now, I fear what that building might be, but hopefully my guardhouse gets built and might stop them. But the lookout tower at least will give me some idea of what's going on further in their territory, because of course there's no fog of war, thankfully. And you can see the donkey breeder that I've got it's doing me well. Because without the donkey breeder, we wouldn't have the ability to actually have, well, of course, a decent amount of transportation bonuses, essentially, because we need the donkey breeders to actually make things work better for us. Which feels reasonable. Now, the fortress itself, we can see that we do have a bit of a problem with our military forces. We aren't producing enough soldiers, so we need more armories. So I think it might be a good idea for me to build a couple of them. Because if I can get a couple of them, then, well, again, better place. Very important. As I'm sure you can imagine, because it is very important to be militarily capable. So... now, I want to grab as much of that gold as possible, so I'm going to have to build an expansion here. So the Vikings are extremely strong. So even then, it just says that. Small peninsula to the north of their gold mines. Okay, well, let's see if I can find that. But it is unfortunate, because that is something that we do need to be aware of. We need gold, man. All the gold. How well we can get out of it, different value question. So my fishery here needs to burn, unfortunately. C'est la vie. that is the way it is, unfortunately. It's fine. It's fine. It's just, you know, a shame. And... now, the fortress has got 8 in there, so it's at least a decent amount. Now, with that, once that lookout tower gets built, let's build a barracks over this way, just to sort of expand over this way, shall we? Probably another fishery. Probably a good shout. Now, yeah, okay, so the yellows are over there. Now, the thing is, I believe, so I could be wrong on this one, unfortunately. I believe that it is that the reds have the gate. Just trying to remember who has the gate each mission. It's always a joy. Yes, so I'm pretty sure that they have the gate. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we can get through this. And one of the things I'm concerned about is, as well as obviously being jumped by the both of them, because we don't want that to happen, we do need to be aware of, okay, so they've built there, and that's unfortunately burnt that building down. It's a real shame. So I'm going to build a catapult here. I might need to build 2, because that's quite a few military buildings in that sort of general vicinity, and that's not helpful, unfortunately. So, let's see, shall we? Let's indeed see. So, one of the things, again, I'm kind of concerned about, as I mentioned, is the general disposition of where the enemy's going to be and how we can actually deal with them. Now, of course, I'm juggling the metalworker, doing saws and pickaxes. Now, I've hyper-focused the metalworker, because typically I look at it and go, okay, there's one or two resources or things that I actively need at this moment in time, and that's in one's own brainwave pattern. That seems to work. However, indeed, I might be wrong in what if that's a particularly good idea or not. So, one tries, one hopes, and essentially hopes for the best. But we'll see. We will see indeed. So, bigger military buildings are going to be important here. So the trouble is, I don't have the troops to fill said big military buildings. So I do need the armories to really be working. You can see that they've got the ability to replace their troops. They've got iron workers, they've got iron mines, they've got coal mines, they've got gold mines. So they can have more and better troops than I can. Unfortunately, as I was mentioning earlier about the marsh, we can't go up and around, because there's just physically no way to do so, because we can't cross that blasted marsh, which does make me quite disappointed, unfortunately, because I would very much like to be able to cross that gap. Unfortunately, no such joy here, and that sucks. So, let's see what we can do here. Really, it's just going to see what can we actually manage. So, there's their headquarters building. No, that's not a headquarters, that's a fortress. I'd forgotten how ridiculous their fortresses looked. I wonder if I can catapult that down. That'd be good if I could. It'd be very nice if I could, in fact. We'll give it a go. We will very much give it a go. If we can catapult that building down, I mean, it's going to take some time. It will indeed, though, reduce their troop numbers. It'll make them definitely weaker, which is, again, very, very important. So, again, we'll give it a good go. Again, though, one of the things that I'm concerned about, as I'm sure you can imagine here, is trying to understand what other things can we actually do here. As dumb as that'll sound, because guardhouses aren't going to expand far enough in. We're probably going to need larger military buildings to really impact our foes here. And that's what concerns me, if I'm very brutally honest. If we can't move in effectively, then we're in a bit of a problem, shall we say. But again, we'll just see. We will see. Now, as I'm quickly just removing some buildings from what we've got, those quarries that need to be got rid of. Again, we've opened up a bit more territory, so that does allow us to build more farms. We can build some more bakeries, we can build some more mills, and actually really get better resource usage out of the granaries. Very important to keep that going, as we're going to be just replacing things constantly at this point. I still probably do need more pickaxes, but I will need more scythes, as I'm going to build more farms than I have scythes. Now, I'm building the second catapult here because we've got 3 military buildings that are unfortunately in my way. And once they burn, then we'll be in a much better place, because, of course, once they're gone, then we're actually able to do things. Unfortunately, I don't know what they're going to target, those catapults. I pray that they target the same building. But of course, that's very unlikely. It'd be great if they did, but unfortunately, very unlikely. So, let's see if we can get some goodness out of this, shall we? I need more tools, please. I'd like many, many more tools. Because, of course, tools are important. So the guardhouse is going to hopefully seize a bit of that land. I don't know if it's going to give me that archway up round there, so I can actually... I mean, it's a tough question, really, isn't it? I don't know what it will actually give us if we... if it'll allow us to go around the top. If it does, that's great, because that'll actually give us a better linkage. But I don't know if it will. So now we're going to build 3 catapults here. That one's good. The one on the left will target the... only will be able to target that guardhouse. Now, of course, that catapult that was already fired, it has already pinged a soldier off, which is good. But with 3 catapults, hopefully we'll whittle them down. And that's very important here. The watchtower, of course, is... that one's one that really concerns me, because at 6 soldiers, it's going to take a while to get rid of. And it's going to be difficult. How well we can do it, it's a different question. Let's see. So what we're going to do is crack through our enemies as much as possible. And those catapults, I mean, it's going to take some time because they're going to replenish them. But again, oh, look at that beautiful double shot. It is going to mean that we'll be able to remove some of their soldiers. Now, unfortunately, they can clearly replace them. But again, they might not be able to replace them as quickly as we can kill them with the catapults. Look at that. Beautiful. So I'm probably going to build a woodcutter here just to clear out a bit more of this territory so I can actually then build a larger military building so we can actually take over and actually, you know, hold on to that ground. And I think that's going to be a good idea, in fairness. So... let's see. how well will this work? Well, obviously we've got lots of enemy territory that we can try and push through, but again, it's a, how well will this work for me? Let's have a quick look and see. What have we got on our inventory? So we do have a distinct lack of pickaxes still. That's a problem. And it's actually a decent sized problem, unfortunately, as well. Because, of course, without more of them, we can't get more miners. And we need miners, because without miners, we cannot do squat. Well, that's a lie. We can't get more... we just can't get more... what's the word I'm looking for? We can't get more resources, and that's a problem. So we'll have to have a look and see how well we can kind of get that to work for us, shall we? So, I'm wondering as well, what other dumb things can we actually pull here? Because, as you can sort of see, I'm trying to figure out dealing with this large area of enemy territory. The catapults are doing quite well, so that's one shot there. That's going to work nicely. I'll just ping, hopefully, the guardhouse down. Because again, if they focus fire on something, that should make things a little bit easier. And I'm just going to get rid of that well there. I would like another well, of course, though, because I don't want to run out of water. Because that is something that's very, very easy to do, unfortunately, is it's very easy to run out of water. Especially if you don't think about it. And I say that because it's shame this is something I've ended up doing. I've run out of water because I didn't think about it. I didn't actively go out of my way to have wells. And it shot me in the foot. Is the sad answer to it, is it shot me in the foot thoroughly. So be aware of the fact that you can end up just ruining your afternoon because you just run out of water, which is not great. Very much not great. So now we've got lots of coal. That's good. Of course, we're going to need lots more coal. It's just a given, really. The question really starts coming here. What other resources can we get and gather? What I'm thinking is, if we build a couple of larger military buildings further to the south, we can start lapping around to near that fortress of theirs. And with that, fingers crossed, we can start applying some pressure. And that's a big thing. We want to be able to apply a lot of pressure to our foes. And once we apply that pressure, hopefully that should work out in our favour. Because what it'll do is, if we can... when I say pressure, I mean we're just going to catapult the snot out of them. As we do that, of course, we'll be able to, fingers crossed, reduce their general effectiveness. And if we can reduce their general effectiveness, great, perfect, wonderful. That's what we need. So, what I think as well would be a good idea is if we can figure out any other ways that we can apply more pressure to them. Because again, the more pressure we can apply to our enemies here, the better this will be. Question is though, what pressure can we apply? Because of course we do need to apply pressure to our foe when it comes to getting more resources, especially the iron. The iron's going to be the biggest, I think, the trickiest thing right now. Because without the iron, we're in a little bit of a problem. Because the iron and the coal will allow us to replace the troops, and we're already at a distinct lack of troops already. But our catapults are whittling away their troops, and I'm just really hoping that we can prune them down enough that we don't end up struggling. It's a tough thing, really. Truthfully is, because we've got to deal with their general predisposition to. I wouldn't say that they want to attack us, but they're very hostile in that they, they're coming up close. There we go. Let's fling another rock. Okay, we're going against the tower, are we? Okay, fine. So the watchtower. I'm glad that we do have a 2 though, because with 2 catapults we can at least try and bring down a building more quickly. I might need to remove the road to that that one over there. Oh, no more fish. Okay, well you can burn. Unfortunately, there's not much else I can do with you. So off you go then. Off you pop. Time to burn. So, big question conundrum begins here. What next? So again, they are replacing them with some basic recruits, which again, kind of a given. But again, if we can catapult them 3 or 4... Ah, they're building a guardhouse there. Now, that's going to probably destroy my woodcutter. If I... from what I can see, it's going to destroy the woodcutter, definitely. But it's not a guarantee. Because we might be able to pull something ridiculous out of it. Hopefully we can. Let's see. So, if our catapults were going to be on the ball and actually able to reduce our enemies, just reduce them entirely, then we would be in a better place. Unfortunately, I don't think they're going to do so. Because, that level of catapulting would be fantastic, but is the way of the world, unfortunately, by the looks of things. Let's see. Okay. Still not destroying enough on that building, unfortunately. Very much on the unfortunately front. So. Next big conundrum is, can we get anything else that might benefit us here? Other than more catapults. Because, of course, more catapults is great, but we are going to need something a bit more effective, I think. That's probably the best way of putting it, really. Okay, so let's see if we can get some more fisheries on the go, because, again, we want to just try and remove our enemies quickly, but I think that guardhouse is going to annoy me slightly. It's going to take a decent chunk of my land, isn't it? Again, we need more catapults. It's a big thing. We need more catapults. And unfortunately, with the catapults that we do have, we are struggling somewhat. Because the catapults we have, whilst, they're not bad, they're not doing a bad job, unfortunately, they're just not enough. And I think that's a major component of this, is that yes, the catapults are doing damage, but they're not doing enough damage. Well, enough damage rapidly enough. I think that's really where it kind of boils down to. We're definitely doing a lot to our foes, but can we do better? That's the question. So there goes our wood mill, unfortunately. Catapults, let's see if they can fling out and destroy it, because we've destroyed this one already once. That catapult's got a lot of ammunition, so it should potentially, all on its own, reduce it to rubble. Oh yeah, look at that. There goes the last shot. And bamf. That'll teach you to build a damn guardhouse on my doorstep. Yeah, little buggers. You're just going to go away. That's all that's going to happen. Your entire potential operation will be removed. Now go away. The question then comes now, what and how are we going to do better? Because of course we do need to obviously break through this a bit more effectively, but still need more. Now, unfortunately, you can see there we've got on the other side of it, we haven't got around the base of it. I'm hoping this fortress expansion will give us a bit better of a way round, so that we can actually decently expand. Because that's the big thing, we need to be able to decently expand over here. So let's hope for the best, shall we? Now, Donkey Breeder seems to be running out of food, which is a shame, because of course we do want the Donkey Breeder to have a decent amount of food supply. Unfortunately, not happening right now. So, the question is, what can we do to improve that? Because, as I'm sure you can imagine, we do need to make sure that our Donkey Breeder has enough grain. So again, we could get more farms. That might work. What we need is more stone actually down here. Unfortunately, there's not a big pile of stone in that storehouse. If there was, that'd be great, because then it could just be dumped out on a regular, rapid basis, and then provide a decent amount of, essentially, destruction. Because that's really what's happening, is it just gives us the ability to destroy. Because, yeah, that's what it is. It gives us that ability to destroy all of our foes. Unfortunately, no such luck. Okay, our slaughterhouses are doing okay. Don't need a second one. Not right now, at least. Because that's something to be aware of, is actually how much do we need of our ever illustrious requirement. Because we need more stone. We definitely need more stone here. Without stone, we're in a bit of a conundrum. But at the same time, we are filling in rocks at this tower. Now, I could attack it. I don't think that would end well, because then we'd get attacked on both sides. What I think I'm going to need is, generally speaking, more military build-up. And I think I'm just going to build a... I could build a oh, okay, they're catapulting me. How rude. Now, as I was saying about a blockade. So this is when you end up with too many resources at each of the waypoints. I don't know why that grain isn't going into their headquarters. Genuinely have no idea. But because of it, it's causing a backlog. They cannot distribute their resources. This has essentially stuffed them. As dumb as it'll sound, because they are unfortunately for them, unable to distribute those resources, they're now in a complete bottleneck. This doesn't, however, prevent any units coming out. So they can still have their they could still have infantry come out of that building, like their military units, but they can't send resources out of that building. That is interesting, because with that essentially giving them a ha, you're stuffed, they have a problem, because that means that they can't send out units easily. And that is exactly what we want. Without being able to distribute their resources, it should mean that actually they may not even have enough stone to actually destroy my guardhouse. Doesn't look like they do. Now let's have a quick look. We've still got some more problems coming this way. But you can see I've got this little my little river crossing, which I know it's a silly thing, but I like having boats. Yes, okay, they can't do much other than the basic boaty goodness of just transporting resources, but I will take that ability over nothing. Because at the moment, otherwise, I've got diddly squat available to me, unfortunately. And I think that's what my big problem is right now, is I don't have the ability to transport a huge amount. Now, I could build another couple of farms, in fairness. That might not be a bad idea. Whether I do, it's a different question, but I could. Now, what we're going to do, though, is we're going to reactivate the metalworks for now. Coal mine needs to burn, because it's not doing anything right now, sadly, but it still needs to burn. Next question is, what else can we do to upgrade them? Because that is the big question, is what else can we do? So I'm going to destroy this guardhouse, because what I'm hoping is I can build a watchtower there. Now, I want to try and claim as much territory as possible off of them, because if I can claim the territory, that way I can then potentially build a catapult closer to their buildings and just catapult them down. And that's probably the best plan right now. Again, it might sound like a dumb statement, but I need to be able to catapult them down. And I'll take any opportunity to do that. So, mine's exhausted. That's a shame. Not the end of the world, though. Okay, well, that fishery needs to burn as well, unfortunately. I think that's a given. Right. What else can I try? I wonder... Very much I wonder here. Because I've got a curious thought here. Obviously, I've got this iron mine, I've got this coal mine. I think it's probably a good idea for me to build a barracks down there to expand into that mountain so I can get more. Because, of course, I need more of that. I feel like that's kind of a given, right? But, big buttery biscuit base here. I don't know how effective that's going to be at comfortably getting what I need out of this. So, coal mine looks like that one needs to burn as well, unfortunately. I'm going to burn that fishery. It's a real shame that I have to do that, but there's not much I can do, sadly. It is unfortunate. It is, for want of a better phrase, buggered. Right, so what we're going to try as well is we're going to have a quick look and see if there's anything else that we can try and pull as a sneaky shenanigans attempt. So the catapult, I mean, again, it's pinging off the odd shot. It's not much, but it's something. And I'll take any additional damage we can do to them. That's kind of the important bit right now. So, let's hope, very much hope, that this works. Because again, I need to deal with this. That's interesting. They're all pulling back. This is now the perfect opportunity for me to attack. I have to be quick, though. If I can attack them, and I can attack them fast, and I can completely encircle their main headquarters building, they will not be able to redeploy those soldiers. I need to take these 3 buildings and potentially others in that general vicinity. If I can take them, victory will be mine, because the Reds will be completely encircled. They've only got a single soldier in each building. That is perfect. Yes, it's still a problem, because they're still going to have like a decent number of troops generally. But we've got some sneaky things that we can pull here. And this is going to be good if we can get this to work. It's very much of the stars aligned, so we've taken that guardhouse. Now they're already trying to redeploy their soldiers. If we can intercept them and remove this road link, as you can see I'm attacking on all fronts, before that huge army of very elite soldiers get out there, then they're encircled. And yes, they will have a lot of these elite troops. Yes, perfect. Now, these elite troops, they are going to be inside their headquarters. They cannot leave their headquarters unless they build another military building in that general vicinity. So I do have to be very careful. You know, keep an eye on what they're doing. But right now, this seems to be perfect. I'm very much excited about this, because this could work out rather well. Big problem we've got, however, right now, is if being the big keyword here, if they attack again. So of course you can see that the yellows have already counter-attacked. So we're probably going to lose a few buildings to the yellows, but not to the reds, because they only have one military unit in each building. They don't have the ability to have that to redeploy. Now, I will not deny here, I do not know why the AI does this as a thing. It makes very little sense to me. I have no idea why they do it. But when they do, my goodness, take advantage of it, which is exactly why I'm doing it now. Because now I can really press the advantage. Their headquarters is encircled. Yes, it is going to be an area that is going to be considered adjacent to my territory. So my soldiers are going to be very much saturated there. It's going to be kind of a given. They're definitely going to be, unfortunately, heavily there, which is a shame. But once we deal with all of these other smaller buildings and we take them, now the question is, do I catapult them or do I attack them? I think I need to attack them because I need to make sure, just in case the portal is, well, the gateway, sorry, is in that general vicinity. I think I'm pretty sure that's where it is. It's in the red territory somewhere. Where it is? No idea. But I'm pretty damn sure it's in this vicinity. So, let's keep my eyes out for it, just in case we see anything. But right now, we don't have the ability to connect those buildings. Ah, okay, so the yellows are attacking us in force. Again, kind of a given, because we have kind of turned around and just gone on a full range attack. Again, kind of a given. So, what we are going to have to do is we're going to have to break through somehow. And I don't know if I want to attack the yellows. I'm quite content to just sit there. Maybe I'll catapult them dead. That might work. So, again, you can see that we don't have to worry too much about their military basis. I might need to adjust how many troops are deployed, however. Let's just... Do I build a catapult? No, that's not a good... It's not that it's not a good idea. It's just a... I think it might not work as I need. So... let's build this here. That's going to be, again, very important to do. And... okay, so they're definitely going to take that barracks. There's no way in heck that's going to survive. I think that catapult's going to burn as well. Ah, drat. Okay, so the catapult burned. That's a shame. Again, unfortunately, not much I can do about it, sadly. Oh well. It is what it is. There's not much I can do about it. It's fine. It's fine. I'll deal. I'll deal with it. Right. So, how are we going to do this? I think that's the big question. How are we going to do this? Because I don't know. I do not know what the best plan of action here is. Problems, problems, problems. Okay, anyway, so... I want to ignore... I don't want to attack the headquarters, because if I attack the headquarters, that's not going to end well for me. But if I can redeploy some of my troops... oh goodness, we're being attacked again. Blasted yellows, leave me alone. They're very keen on trying to get involved, aren't they? Cheeky buggers. Not much I can do about it, unfortunately, but they are very keen to get involved. Okay. So, I'm retaking the barracks, because... spiteful. Okay, so we're taking that guardhouse, so let's connect this into the main road network. There we go, so this is going to connect to the headquarters. As all roads lead to Rome. Oh, we're under attack over here. Oh, lummy. How did they get over here? That's intense. Unfortunately, they've taken that barracks from me, so... I need to figure out how I'm going to deal with that. Okay, so they're desperately attacking. Now, we can see that they are running out of their elite troops. They are sending a few... but they are running out, because we've got a few more basic mugging standard geezers now. That's probably a good sign. Because again, the more catapulting we can do to them, the better. So, let's see if there's anything else that we can try and pull on this one. Because that's going to be the big question, is can we do anything else to really just ruin their days? Okay, so the guardhouse is... I mean, it's doing okay. It's not going to fall right away, but it is still looking a bit... I don't trust it. Let's take these guardhouses and that barracks. Let's take this as well, and we'll take that guardhouse once we've taken the barracks. Because again, if I can reduce the number of buildings that have an adjacency, because of course the adjacency is the problem. Because if they have an adjacency to the enemy structures, that means that there is a problem. Well, I say a problem, it's sort of a problem. Oh, okay, so that's now down to one single thing. Alright, I'm going to build a catapult there then. Okay, so let's reconnect this to the road. Because again, that's kind of important here. Now, I do want to take these other buildings. And no attack possible. Okay, so I'm going to have to redistribute the number of soldiers that I can actually send out on an attack. So again, we've got another looped route back in to the main road network, which is very important. I'm going to send... yeah, I've got 2 soldiers there. I don't actually have that many very elite troops right now, do I? Check and see. So the gold's coming in, which is nice at least. And again, we can actually start building more armories. Because I think that's going to be the best plan right now, is to actually build more armories. Uh-oh, here comes an attack. Oh my goodness gracious me, here come their elite ones. This is not going to go well, is it? I don't like their elite soldiers, because they keep kicking my bum. It's not going to be great. Either way, we're going to launch what attack we can. Because again, we need to break through. And once we break through, then we're in a much better place. But I don't know what other... I mean, obviously I need more troops. Okay, so we're going to take that. That's thankful, because that's only a single basic pleb. So thankfully that guardhouse will probably reduce its requirement once I take that barracks. Okay, they've got some elite soldiers in there. That's, you know, kind of frustrating, but that's fine. We'll deal with it. And I've got a feeling that once we take that barracks, you see that little hill there down the left? That is the gateway. So if that's the gateway, that means that we then need to build something in that general vicinity. A barracks of some description. Because unless that barracks actually takes... just shy. But that's fine. Because we can build a barracks, we can build it, but whether we can populate it is a very different question. I want to take that guardhouse as well, but again, I need some more troops up this way, because without the troops, I can't reasonably do anything about it, sadly. So I'm going to keep trying, because again, we need more troops. Again, it's a given. We just need more soldiers, just to do as much damage as possible to them. Oh, goodness gracious, they're really heating this one up, aren't they? I think that barracks is done for. Well, that's going to be annoying. Look at all that lovely... I mean, I haven't got that many donkeys in this area. My donkey breed is clearly not getting enough grain, which is a shame, because, you know, I want my donkey breeder to be given all of the grain he needs to make sure that the roads of Rome can go. Unfortunately, they've taken a barracks from me. That's just rude. So, thankfully though, I'm not too worried, because I can, you know, I've got the looping routes. I've got a horrible feeling about that guardhouse though. Thankfully though, it does look like they're only sending basic soldiers, which is a bit of a relief. Because of course, the more elite soldiers they send, the more dangerous it'll be. Oh, what the heck are they doing up there? Leave that guardhouse alone, you're dead, go away. I need more soldiers in that fortress. There's only 3 of them left in there. And well, I mean, fairness, they're pretty elite. I'll give them that. But I do need to be careful. Yeah, the slaughterhouse is doing right. We've still got loads of pigs in there. I know, it's a small thing to check, but it is important to keep an eye on. So, this is a problem that I would say is that at the moment, although I've got the ability to produce iron, I've got the ability to produce coal, I've got the ability to produce beer, I have a problem in that I don't currently have the logistics of actually sending them to the right place to actually get troops. And that's a problem. So, it's very much of a, I hope, very much hope that we can get all of what we need here. Because, of course, I need more troops. And unfortunately, I think we're going to be under attack for a little bit longer. At least until we can get a bit more troopage sent out to the right location. Oh dear, oh dear. Well, we need to build the barracks anyway, that's a given. And I'm going to go and take this here, because that may allow me to redistribute some of the soldiers. And hopefully, knock on wood, that'll make things a little bit better. Because that's a big component of this, is making sure that when you reduce your foes to a small area, you actually remove them. Unfortunately, I'm surrounding their headquarters, which is keeping a lot of my troops very much occupied. Sadly, there's not much I can do with that. But it is important, because that way I've been able to prevent them from expanding out and actually doing anything about it, which is actually kind of important. So, news, we've got a new enemy building captured. Beautiful. So now our troops will start redistributing. Hopefully we can start getting some more all over the show. We'll see though. We will very much see. Okay. So, that barracks is going to annoy me, the one that's been captured. I think I need to take that watchtower, but unfortunately I think that guardhouse is probably going to get taken because they are really pressing on it, aren't they? That's not great. Because, of course, the more they press at it, the worse it's going to be. Oh, dear. Okay. Do I have another general? Okay, my general's done all right there. That's good. Oh, goodness gracious. They're really throwing the basic troops at me, aren't they? Unfortunately, they seem to be able to replenish their numbers a lot better. Oh, are you going to that barrack? No, you can't be going to that barracks. Are you going up there? Oh, that'd be nice. I mean, again, it's not the most useful now that we have the knowledge of where the gateway is, but it's still nice. I'll say that much. Okay, so they're building a watchtower there. That is a problem. I need more soldiers. My fortress still only has 3. I need to take the watchtower that they've taken from me back. Partly from spite, but also because when I take it back off of their hands, we'll be in just a better position. Because then we'll have better control over the area. And hopefully, it does appear that they are kind of running out of the more elite troops. If that is the case, that's very important. Because, of course, as they run out of elite troops, then we're in a much better place. Because we can push through. And just generally remove them. Right, okay. Still need more. Okay, I'll just quickly look at that. Still need more troops. Still definitely need more troops coming in. Okay, look at the size of countries. The military strength we have now, they're both roughly equal. We've given them both a good kicking. But that's not the be-all and end-all, unfortunately. Because currently, we still need to give them more of a kicking. We'll see, however. We will indeed see what we can do. So, we've still got... great, another thing's destroyed. That's a shame. Okay, my catapult's almost ready. Now, hopefully, because it doesn't look like they're replenishing their numbers, they might have come to the same problem we've got, a supply, like a troop number issue, which might work out well for me. How many elite soldiers have I got? Okay, I've got a few elite soldiers in this general vicinity. Okay, then, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch an elite soldier attack against that barracks, possibly, to try and reclaim it from them. Mostly, again, out of spite, because I don't like the fact that they happen to have my territory. It's my barracks. But in fairness, I am attacking them, so I can't really say a huge amount, can I? So... how are we going to do this? Still waiting on a single troop. Still waiting on a single troop. We're getting there, though. And that's the important thing is. It's demonstrating the logistics nightmare of actually not having enough armories and not having enough breweries. Because the combination of the two is what I think, unfortunately, to be able to organise this better. Okay, so surely our troops must be moving in here right now. I'm really hoping they are. Okay, we found another asteroid, which is good. What's going on here? Resources are low, so we still have more. I mean, you can see you've got all the rare materials coming out. Good, rare metals. So I'm going to just crack this up to the max and just only take more metals. 187, that's what we can do. So we'll do that, and that'll be, when we get up to that level, we'll just return to Mars. But I do need to bring back more metal by the looks of things, unfortunately. Which is fine, we just need to be able to do so. Just because I don't want the solar panels to, not really rot, but they are at risk currently. So let's see what we can do. We could attack that headquarters and that would allow us to redistribute. But if I do that, it's probably going to end very poorly for me, unfortunately. My thought process really is if I do attack, I know they've got loads of troops in there. And that's just going to end badly. So. I mean, the catapult's doing okay. I think maybe if I can use the catapult to, again, chisel away at them a bit. Just a little bit. Then we might be able to get a little bit more out of them. Because if we can remove more of their troops, we can then, in theory, here, we can then reclaim that territory. And I would like to... I'd very much like to get my stuff, please. That'd be nice. So, again, 15 guys could attack it. I mean, it's a powerful amount, but I don't think that's a good idea right now. That's what's very annoying, is I don't think it is a very good idea. Sadly. Anyway, so what we're going to do is we are going to hopefully push through. And if we can do that, hopefully we can also just wondering if we can do anything else with this. With an attack. I'm going to build a farm here because there's already some grain that we can already harvest, so that probably would be good. Build a brewery so I can replenish them. Because again, we need more troops in this general vicinity. Because again, that seems like a sensible plan. How sensible? I'm not sure, but it does seem vaguely sensible, I guess. So. Let's see. So, I don't need any... I kind of want to get some more resources from the metal worker, but I don't think there's much really they can give me at this point. Which is fine. It's just a shame. Again, not the end of the world. And I can deal with that. That's fine. Right, so we've got some soldiers that are heading to the left there, which is important. It does look like we are going to potentially... I'm assuming they're reinforcing. I'm going to attack that watchtower at some point. I think that's going to have to be the next thing that happens. Because that watchtower does need to fall. I'm going to be very blunt about it. It does need to fall. And, yeah, it's not the worst thing to happen at this point. And I think we can do it. I think we can very much do it. But still a little nervous about what else can we get from this general sort of like, what else do we need to do? Do we need to get more troops? I mean, we do need more soldiers. That's kind of a given, right? As we've seen, it's not going great without the soldiers. But we are going to attack. I think that's going to be a thing. We're definitely going to attack. Because I want to do my mischief out there. I want to do as much damage as possible. That's the important thing. Just do as much damage as we can. Right. Goodness. Okay, so I do need some scythes. That's fine. Okay, so that barracks is still looking pretty low. Where's that catapult going to fling? Go on, please fling at the watchtower. Oh, no. Well, it appears to... It did hit the watchtower, but it did definitely disappear into the ether. That's fine. Suitably odd, but hey, if it does, it does. Right. Still need a bit more. Still definitely need more tools. So, we'll give that a go. Okay. Now, what I'm not really concerned about, but I'm definitely aware of right now, is trying to figure out what other things are we going to do here. I think we should attack the watchtower. Yeah, still not troops coming this way. They're distributing themselves into the ones that definitely do still need troops, but they're not the ones that I would personally consider really need troops. I think that's the worst part of it all, is that what I personally would consider this isn't a major component that needs to be dealt with might not be what the AI goes, oh no, this is a really good idea, I'm going to do this. And unfortunately, they keep doing weird, dumb stuff that I don't think is particularly clever. But that is the way it is, unfortunately. So, what we are going to do is, again, kind of hope for the best here. And I think what's going to be the best plan is to... I think what might actually be the best plan. Well, we've got a decent amount of troops still like in the vicinity. We just need more of them. So I'm going to take the watchtower back because I think that's a good idea at this point, because I'm sick and tired of them having it. It was my watchtower and you can't have it anymore. Oh, goodness, well, building lost to the enemy. So they've taken that guardhouse from me. That's just rude, man. It's just rude. They need to go away and die, I think is the nicest way of putting it. So, it looks like I'm going to take the watchtower back. That's kind of a good thing that we've got going on here. But... can we take more? That's the question. Don't know. So I'm going to take that watchtower. That destroys their watchtower that they were trying to build. I'm going to call in a couple of geologists. And... I mean, my fortress is looking a little bit vulnerable right now, but it's still, you know, we can manage it. We can manage it. Okay. Let's see if we can get anything else. We've got some boats. Again, we don't have the shipbuilders. We can't make any more of those. It's kind of a given. But that is a thing. And I'm going to quickly boost the metal worker for now. Still no troops heading that way. I mean, I've got money in distribution, which is nice, but again, the soldiers, I haven't even taken that northern barracks, which is a real shame. This is the big problem, as I kind of mentioned and alluded to, is that without the number of soldiers that we can actually use, it's a bit more tricky. But it is the way it is. And that's fine. We'll deal with it. Right, so I'm going to take that guardhouse back, I think. That's going to be not high list on my priorities. I'm not even going to bother taking their watchtower because, again, I don't need to. And if I do, I'm just going to get catapulted. And I don't really want to get catapulted. Thanks. Just, you know, going to throw that one out there. So, as I kind of mentioned, we can see that the Reds had the gatehouse. We expanded through, and again, we got lucky. Very, very lucky, because without the enemy choosing to redistribute their soldiers, we would not have been able to get the attack of opportunity that we did. And I think that's the biggest, not really problem, but it is definitely a situation there. So, it's definitely a thing. So, I think we can... Okay, there's another soldier coming out. That's good. Maybe the soldiers are actually working their way over to the gatehouse. Well, the gatehouse, that singular barracks that needs to be occupied. Oh! And it has indeed. Victory has now been achieved for Mission 7, The Snake. If you have enjoyed, please do give us a like, share and subscribe. Why not check out my other videos? Always nice to see other new viewers. And of course, hopefully I'll catch you again for the next episode of our Settlers 2 Gold Edition walkthrough.